Welcome to the first episode of The Return of Mother Jaguar. My name is Eileen Meyer, and I am an experiencer of contact with non-human intelligence over the course of my lifetime. I also walked the sacred Mayan fire path, and I initiated on Washaki Bats in Tikal. And I'm here with my teacher who walked with me on that sacred Mayan fire path, and I'm going to let him introduce himself to you.
My name is Eduardo Gonzalez. I'm initiated as an Ach-Ki on the fire path and the water path in the tradition of the Ki'iche Maya. My teachers were Tat Jose Locutinho and Sacerdotisa Carla Cofino of Antigua, Guatemala. And I am so proud to be a part of this understanding that we refer to as the Mayan science, and have been studying and following and walking this path ever since 1999 is when I started, and helped Eileen walk her path in 2001, started, and you were initiated in 2002. Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And what an honor it's been to walk you on the fire path, as well as to know you and what you've accomplished since then.
Thank you. Same here. It's there were a lot of synchronicities that occurred in our meeting. I had received a lot of guidance and a viewpoint and experiences with Coyopa, which we'll get into maybe in a little bit, that opened my sight. And also I started bringing through these messages about how our consciousness would be changing at this time. And it was preparing me over the years with guidance about how this was going to be unfolding at this time. And of course we have the Mayan science and the ancient wisdom that goes hand in hand with the wisdom that I was receiving. And so when I met you in 2001 in Santa Fe, I was singing at the La Posada Hotel in downtown Santa Fe, and that is when Eduardo came to a friend, invited him to come hear me sing. And when I heard that there was a Mayan priest that wanted to meet me, it was like, yes, because I had experiences of this Mayan priest guy coming to me. I didn't know it was a Mayan priest. He was just in my mind's eye. I saw him wearing this, Central American, indigenous, tribal kind of wear, and I didn't know anything about the Maya at the time. But he had come to me to deliver these specific messages about that now is the time for the mother, and the mother's wisdom will be coming forward, and that I needed to be on with my work with this. Well, I didn't really understand that fully until I, was living my life. And then when I heard there was a Mayan priest that wanted to meet me, it was like the energy was like, yes, this is an important piece of your life. This is your future. And so that is when I decided that I would walk the Mayan fire path and study with you. And we're still learning and growing and understanding and unraveling this wisdom, the Mayan wisdom, as much as I am continuing to unravel the hundreds of messages that I've delivered in the last 15 years. And then, of course, other kinds of experiences with non-human intelligence alerting me to the importance of this timing that we're in now. So what I wanted to explore is, just to bring us up to speed, the audience up to speed about what the Mayan calendar, the end of the long count, was all about, because so many people thought, oh, that was the end of the world was supposed to happen, and that's how it was framed by Hollywood, right? But that's not what it was about at all, was it? So I'll let you, explain a little bit about your understanding of the end of the long count as a counter of the days in the Mayan traditions, and then how through the lens of the Mayan wisdom, what is this timing that we're in now that we've already crossed that threshold?
Well, all the media propaganda that was put out prior to the end of the long count was very confusing and very misleading about what the Mayan teachings actually are. In fact, nowhere in any of the Mayan ruins that we've discovered or any of the glyphs that we found is there any suggestion that it was going to be the end of the world on December 21st, 2012. In fact, there's only one stone stele that has information regarding that date, and it refers to a time when we would be at the end of a long cycle of days, years and days, and that the beginning of a new cycle, and that a new sun would be born into our system. We refer to that day, the December 22nd, the day after the 21st, as the announcement of the new sun. So it really is to mark the beginning of a new cycle and leaving the end of another cycle of days. And as a counter of the days, as an Achki, many of us would talk about, well, what does that really mean to us when we talk about this new time? And it's really about the crossroads that we're at right now to understand that we're in a time, in a universal time, if you will, a universal calendar, where Earth has moved from thousands and thousands of years of darkness into the time of light, a new time of light, when we would begin to remember who we are. And many, many people all over the planet have always talked about this time in the past that would end soon, and we would enter into a new time when we'd all start to resonate with what was going on with our planet, resonate with our true identity. We would refer to as a universal or cosmic identity.
Right.
And that is part of understanding the sacred calendar of the Cholki, what we call the sacred calendar of the Maya. The Cholki says this day is Hun Ish, the first day of the Jaguar energy, and also the day of Ish being resonating with Mother Earth, and what we have to do to balance ourselves on Mother Earth, to walk in pride on Mother Earth, but also to acknowledge that our Earth is going through a tremendous shift and a tremendous change that affects all of us, of course, and that we are humbled, and our humility that we walk with as Mayan teachers and Mayan walkers of the path is to be proud of who we are as human beings and to recognize that it's such an honor to be here on this amazing planet that we call Earth at this time.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And some of the wisdom that I have been given in these resonant states, that I was taught how to return to this resonant connection with Mother Earth, and which connects us to the greater cosmos. So it's at this timing we are either moving with her vibrationally as she transforms, or we choose differently. Let's just leave it at that right now. That can be left up to a variety of viewpoints on what the other choices are, or what the other trajectories are. But the wisdom that I was given was that it's important that we awaken now to, we talk about evolution. Yes, it's about evolution, but first we must restore our consciousness to its natural state. And part of that is healing what we have been putting away, hiding away in the unconscious, subconscious realms, pretending that the pain doesn't exist, pretending that we were not traumatized, everything's just fine. So everything is about image. We were taught and conditioned in our lives. And now it's a matter of breaking that down and being willing to be honest about what we're actually feeling, who we actually are. It's important to truly allow ourselves, to be humble again, like you said. It's to humble ourselves, to say, you know what, I obviously don't know what's going on in this world. The chaos increases on a daily basis. This is part of the breakdown, because our consciousness, we are being called to break down all that is false, all that we acquired and we're told was important or of value in this reality we're finding out is not actually true. So what is true? It's up to us to find that within ourselves. And I have a lot of guidance that I can draw from what I was given over my lifetime in these dialogues and conversations through frequency and through resonance. And then matching it or blending it with the Mayan science, the ancient wisdom at the same time, feels very powerful to me right now. So I feel really blessed to be here in Rye, Colorado, and we're at the Coyopa Meditation Center, where we're basically launching these, the sharing of these tools that we have acquired about how to actually go within. You know how we hear online, in from a variety of sources that, well, you just need to go within, right? Well, okay, how is that done? How do I actually do that? So see, there's the image. We're so used to developing an image, right? Of, I'm spiritual and I know this and I studied that and I acquired all this knowledge and so here we are. It's time to apply, right, what we've learned. So that's. I just wanted to tag onto that the intention for me of doing this series is to really just show up in the moment and invite the public, an audience, to join us in the conversation in applying these tools and moving forward with the intent to fully awaken, restore our natural state, restore our natural connection to the natural world, Mother Earth, and begin to listen and remember that we do have guidance when the healing starts, when the opening occurs, when the serpent energy can begin to move again within our physicality, creating the openings to marry once again to spirit and bring this marriage within our bodies and in our consciousness again. The way that this non-human intelligence informs me is this is our original design. And the Mayan wisdom reveals this as well, that we are extraordinarily powerful beings, but we have suppressed our power beneath our wounding. So the light is there, and the Divine Mother is there as well. And this is who we're working with. This is the guidance that I've received, that we're working with setting the Divine Mother free again, giving her room to breathe within us, giving her room to grow and reveal our core essence and our core gifts and treasures that each and every one of us has within us to reveal at this time. That if we're pretending to be something that we're not, these gifts cannot come forth and be revealed and inspire and help our communities around us. It's our responsibility to restore the truth of who we are, so that we may be available to assist in our communities as well. So that's my vision and my inspiration for this connection, and I feel very honored to be with you, Eduardo, and to just begin to share the great conversations that we have, on a daily basis almost, that I feel it's important to invite the public into now.
Well, I agree completely. I feel like we decided to create this Coyopa Meditation Center so that we could really do a better job of communications of what these teachings actually mean. We call them the Chol Kith, these 20 glyphs and these 13 tomes. It's the movement of those days, the earth moving through the cosmos.
Yes.
And it represents our cosmic identity. This information that's been stored and saved for us by these Mayan people that are still healthy and living in Central America. And I feel that their basic teaching about this particular time is that over the thousands of years that this planet has been moving through the last Baktun and Katun and all of the time that has passed was us returning once again. Each time we would die, we would come back to this planet and live another life. And now, those of us who have chosen to be here at this time chose it because we have a huge responsibility to wake up and help our fellow human beings remember who they are. So as a teacher of the Mayan science, it's been very exciting and interesting and uplifting to understand that they were preparing us for this time in the future. Mm-hmm. And that much of the things I've been discovering about the Olmec civilization and the what we would call the mother civilization of Mesoamerica was to prepare our earth for a time in the future. And that time in the future is right now.
Yes.
So in your messages, when you're talking about being at the crossroads, a time for us to remember who we are.
And the doorway.
And the doorway.
There's a doorway.
It's the same kind of concept that's taught in the Mayan teachings. It's the doorway within. It's the kingdom of heaven is within. All of that is within us, and that it's time for us to remember who we are and bring that out and focus our attention on healing ourselves and our children and our families.
Yes.
And our community.
Yes.
And that's primarily what I've been doing lately to bring these ancient teachings into the present day and use them to educate us on remembering who we are and remembering the abilities and powers that we have. And it's all hidden within the Chol Ki. It's hidden and written in a way where you have to really apply these glyphs and the tones and the sounds. As we're sitting around a fire ceremony, we call out the 20 glyphs and the tones, and then we harmonize on each glyph so that it resonates with each part of our body and activates that part of our body, including the third eye at this time. So much of what you're bringing through in your messages was already being taught over the thousands of years to the people of all over the world, not just Central America, to remind them that this was the time that we were all waiting for, to be living on planet Earth at this time, at the crossroads. And here we are.
And here we are. And we're watching the breakdown in our culture, and speaking from the American perspective. And the more that this breaks down, and it's my understanding through the wisdom that I'm receiving, this is not going to be resolved in the old ways anymore, because we've actually crossed into, some of us are going back and forth across the threshold, where playing and experimenting and practicing a higher dimensional existence with Mother Earth. Some people call that the fifth dimension. I'm always guided with the wisdom to try and stay away from overused labels, and language is a tricky thing. When I receive these messages, it does not come in language, it comes in energy. And over the years, I was taught how to translate or unpack or decode from frequency what the data is. And when I say frequency, I really mean love. And love is what is missing from our experience here. It has been, almost completely programmed out of this reality and out of our consciousness, to where we have references to love, framed with Valentine's Day, But when I talk about love, I'm talking about, in like, for instance, in the Kundalini or Koyopa experience of the rising of the serpent energy, this is love with a capital L that moves through our physicality and starts to put us back together again. It heals and it begins to help us to restore or reorient our consciousness now to what I was saying earlier, its natural state. And then we begin to practice from that new platform. It doesn't mean you have to have the Koyopa experience before you can begin to engage with your consciousness, with healing. In fact, it's encouraged that everybody understand right now that you can start this in this moment, right now. It's not a practice that you have to go, okay, well, I've got to buy a mat and I've got to do this and I've got to do that and it's got to look like this, and no. It's as simple as bringing yourself into the present moment every time you become aware of it. I am here. I am here. And really feel your presence here. This is one of the quickest ways or applications of this tool that we can all begin to use now. I am here and I'm willing to heal. I am willing to grow now. I'm willing to remember who I am. I'm willing to be present with my gifts and to share my gifts now. Even if we don't mentally know what that is, we're speaking to the energy centers in our body. We're committing to at least keep showing up and stating that intention now. Because why? Because the energies are available to us now in this doorway, now more than ever. And this is the choosing time, I'm informed, that we either choose consciousness and to graduate and to grow into a greater presence and existence with Mother Earth, and to really experience joy and passion and purpose and a mission that we came in this life to fulfill. This is part of what I do with private sessions, is to tune into you with this intelligence that works with me to feel, who are you? What is your essence? What did you intend at this time? Because it's very different now and moving forward what your purpose and mission is, although you may have had glimpses in your life up to now. It doesn't necessarily mean it has to do with what you're currently involved in. It could be something that you pushed away long ago, or it was conditioned out of you. But it's really just about practicing the presence, because that is where we get our guidance. That is where we know what we need to know when we need to know it. We access it through resonance, through the body and the heart. And that is how we know one moment to the next where to place our feet. Who do we resonate with? Who to connect with? Where to go? We need to be listening now more than ever. How does that resonate with you and what you practice?
listening to ourselves, listening to our hearts, instead of being captivated by the electronic devices that we have all around us. Benefiting from those tools, however, not allowing those tools to manipulate and control our minds so that we forget who we are. And that is the essence of what is happening in our society today, is that many of us have really forgotten who we are.
Yes.
And forgot to pay attention to ourselves and put all of our attention into our cell phones and into our television screens and into the computers that we spend so much time at, and doing our daily connection through our emails, et cetera, et cetera. Not that all of that's bad. It's like I said, it's a tool. And to really focus our attention back into our hearts and remember that the tools that we need in order to make the shift with Mother Earth at this time are already there within us. Absolutely. That they only need to be remembered and developed again, and actually bring up the frequency of our hearts and connection to our endocrine system within our brains, and vibrate and create that resonance so that we know who we are. And only through that knowing who we are do we come to a point where we send out a energy force into the electromagnetic energy and the magnetic grid around us, that we are here. I am here now, and I choose love. Right. And making those kinds of statements at this crossroads in time that we are at. That's really the critical thing that I believe these ancient teachings of all indigenous peoples all over the planet have been trying to keep us remembering. To stop allowing yourself to be enslaved by the media, by the conditioning that we receive from our media, and remember who we are and take on our own authority. Once again, to remind ourselves who we are and to own our true abilities and understand how to start using those abilities, and then accept our sacred authority to walk on this planet, this amazing planet, as a human being. Right. And that is critical at this point.
I agree. And what a lot of what we keep unconscious or at bay with our programming, I feel, is we hi Bodhi. What we have a tendency to do is compartmentalize, because we've been taught to compartmentalize. So, our spiritual lives are over here and it's framed in this way, and then our personal, relationships are framed this way, and our work lives are this way. And what I was shown with this, with these messages that I've brought through, excuse me, is that unless we're telling the truth now, we won't be able to bridge or cross this threshold into higher frequency manifestation of our original design as a human being on we're living with Mother Earth. For instance, we might have an amazing spiritual experience, but then we go to work, and that's not something you discuss at work, so you put that aside, you set it aside, and your heart feels the joy of the experience. You had an amazing opening, and you want to share it. That's what we do as human beings. We're filled with this joy, and I need to share this. I need to let somebody know. I need a witness, basically, right? And that's what's tough in this reality, this conditioned reality, finding a witness, because everyone is so conditioned to present with this false image in the world that we have begun to believe, or we do believe, that is who we are, the image of who we are, and that these joyful, connective, passionate experiences, spiritual experiences we may be having, have to be hidden because it's not welcome in the world. Why isn't it welcome in the world? We could go on and on about why that is. But the point is that we have to return and recognize that the point of power is within us, and that nothing will change in the outer world until we restore this truth of who we are, the vibrational truth of who we are, and live it in the world. So it's a gradual process, and it takes courage to be who you are in the world. I know I and both Eduardo and I have, and many others, have paved the way for the consciousness now, because we've lived through being the crazy ones. I was the crazy one because I was having contact with non-human intelligence. I was being taken out my window and taught many things by this presence of beings that came in a variety of forms. And they were teaching me about this time and about how to prepare for it, about how our consciousness would change and shift. And it takes me through with these messages, it takes us through the stages of how this is going to work, and how we do have to have courage. We do have to show up with our will, that we are willing to do this. Otherwise, we choose to continue to surrender or hand over our power to an outer world authority. And I've been shown what's going to happen with this limited perspective if we choose to stay with it. And let's just say that it is more enslavement, it's more limitation, it's more fear, and that is not who you are. And you have a choice now in this crossroads, on this threshold between dimensional choices and dimensional trajectories. We have this choice now, and we can rise to it and proclaim that we're here and that we're ready to do this. And if this sounds crazy to you, then many of us have lived our entire lives for nothing. To be laughed at, to be in very, very uncomfortable situations because we stood up for the truth. We stood up for you. We stood up for, we knowing this timing was coming, paving the way. And there are many, many, many of us now on the planet that we're willing to do this and are still here and are inviting you into this awakening now.
The greatest fear that the forces of darkness have and have always had is that human beings would begin to wake up and realize how powerful they truly are. And they no longer have any control over us personally. However, they still control many people who are following those old paths. And those human beings that are going along with the old program, the old paradigm of living on planet Earth, are continuing to try to keep most of us in darkness and keep us asleep of who we really are.
Through a resonance of fear.
And exactly,
Right.
and that's the point, is that once you make a choice of choosing love versus fear, then you've established your primary goal of being on the path of enlightenment and being powerful and strong again, rather than going along with the program and giving up your power and giving up everything that is important to you, your children and your families, and all of that is put on the line the minute you say, I choose love and I'm willing to stand up for truth.
Yes.
And the biggest issue that many of us have about that is that you must begin telling the truth yourself. And as you do, you will begin to change the energy all around you, and the truths will start to come out throughout our entire society, throughout our planet. And
It's what breaks the spell. It breaks the spell, the truth.
And that's what's happening right now. We're watching the disintegration that you brought up in one of your messages recently, about how we're watching the disintegration of our systems that were put in place to keep us enslaved. And we're watching it collapse. And we must stand up and take our power back and own it, and our authority back and own it, and then apply what we have always believed or felt, the truth about who we really are within ourselves, and be active, communicate, be a part of your community, and bring up that you're one of the ones that's chosen to be going through Mother Earth at this time of the major shift, because it's important for us to make a stand at this point.
It is, and one of the things I also feel strongly about emphasizing quite regularly is that you have an inner guidance, and it's we were taught to access this inner guidance. It's all through the filtering of organized religion. Now, there's a lot of beautiful things that have come through the major religions, right? I mean, there is truth there. There's threads of truth woven into organized religion. But at this timing, it isn't bodies of knowledge that come from the past that other people, other humans teach us. It's going direct. Because if we're not going direct and accessing that inner guidance now that tells us what the truth is, that tells us this human being is beautiful, I'm resonating with him, this is safe, versus, ooh, I don't want to engage with that person, it doesn't feel right. They have every right to be here. They have every right to speak what they want to speak. But if I'm not aligned with it, I simply say, I don't prefer that. And I move in the direction of what I prefer instead of engaging and fighting with that, which keeps polarity active and keeps you in the third dimension. So one of the things that comes to mind is, you remember on the fire that we did at, was it what was it? The site where we stood next to the...
That was Ishim Che.
Ishim Che, that's what it was. Where I had a profound lesson, and I've never forgotten this, and it's exactly what I'm speaking about. I got to feel what this was like. We were doing, I don't remember what number fire ceremony it was probably 17 or 18 of the 20 fires. And at this sacred site, we began to do our fire ceremony. And there were some other Mayan priests that came in, and they were kind of across from us. And you kind of leaned in and said, these are the ones who work with blood and sacrifice. These are the ones who work with the dark energy, right? So, is that fair to say? That's how you framed it?
It's a choice. It's some of us work with light and candles, right, and incense. Others choose to work with blood because they feel it's more powerful. I sense that it's a choice. That's all it is. It's a personal choice.
Right, which is my point. It's like I recognized that they were human beings also, and they had this choice. It was not up to me to engage with them. In fact, you don't want to make eye contact. You want to give them their room and their respect and their choices. It's not infringing on me, but if I choose to turn and engage with it and say, why do you choose the darkness? Why you're being evil? You shouldn't do that. That I now have invited that energy into my reality, right? I'm engaging with it.
Right. You've made contact, and the instant contact is created between yourself and the forces of darkness. Like I say, it's a choice. Then you're making that you're taking on some of that energy, and it's all about energy. It's all about our frequency and our vibration and our energy. And once you start to lose your balance, and anytime you you're looking out there instead of looking right here or
Right.
looking right here,
Right.
it's difficult to keep one's balance. So the point of all of it is Joselo and Carla, my two teachers in Antigua, would say, pay attention to what you're doing right here in front of you.
Yes.
This is what's important, is learning this information and learning this knowledge and hearing the sounds and really applying all of this ancient sacred teachings to yourself. Let people do what they choose to do as long as it's not affecting us.
Right.
And that's, I think, more the things that my teachers would have said to me, and I may have said it in that way to you also.
Yes, you did.
I felt that respect is really important, no matter what other people may be doing, unless it's damaging to the planet or damaging to children or damaging to others. We have to respect their choice of doing what they choose to do. Now we're recognizing that those choices, some of those choices are affecting our planet. Those choices are affecting us in ways, and our children in ways that they're losing their connection to their own hearts. And above all, right now, we must have that connection to the heart and vibrate and resonate with Mother Earth and the others in our community that also are in alignment with that philosophy and that theory.
And that's how we're going to rebuild, is through strengthening our own connection to the cosmos, to the heart of heaven and the heart of earth, and opening our resonant instrument here to bring through this divine energy and these divine inspirations, divine creativity, the knowing of how to move forward. We can't, if we just stop and freeze and we're in fear and we point the finger and project the split that's within us with our very own hearts, we're actually projecting that split out onto other people and saying it's their fault, it's their darker choices that is ruining the earth. Well, we also contribute to the damage to the earth as long as we remain split from our heart. So the best thing that we can be doing right now is to engage with our own healing process, our own signaling to the universal cosmic field that we're awakening and we're healing and we're engaged and we're ready to step into this new, greater way of being in the world, the way we were originally designed. So the point of all that story is just to remind myself and remind you that the greatest work that you can be doing right now is with yourself and with your realm right here. You will be guided to how you can extend yourself into the world and have this power move through you to transform the world at this time into its rightful place and rightful state. And there's so much to be excited about. It's truly, especially when I start to meet other people that are stepping into this in their own ways. And we're all going to have a different way of sharing and explaining and guiding people and working with our healing capacities. And that's the exciting part of it is it's not all going to look alike, but you will, through practice of working with frequency and energy, you will know who your tribe is, of a vibrational nature, who you're aligned with, who you resonate with. And believe me that where two or more line in the Bible, where two or more are gathered in his name, there's enormous power, explosive, beautiful, divine energy that occurs when you have two awakened or awakening individuals or more coming together with this intent. So I just want to make sure people know that we're stepping into something glorious if we choose it.
I agree. And in addition, it's important to say that I've had some people make contact with me as if they're afraid of what these Mayan beings were teaching. And I must say that when you really get into the inside workings of the indigenous peoples of the Americas, every time Christ was brought in and talked about, we all of us, had this connection immediately to Jesus and to the love being that he represents, that energy of forgiveness and love and teaching. And that has always resonated with all of us who study any indigenous teaching. Mm-hmm. We also resonate with the Mother Earth, and we talk about science, and we talk about how there's fire, air, earth, and water, the four elements that make up everything on our planet. So we respect the elements as much as we respect the teachings of Christ.
Absolutely.
And the absoluteness of what we're here to do with our little video broadcast that we're doing here out of Coyopa Meditation Center in Rye is to acknowledge the beauty that surrounds us with the people who have resonated with Christianity and resonated with all of the ancient religions of the planet, because there's beauty in all of them. Mm-hmm. And to bring forth that understanding of love and let go of the fear of one another and stop murdering and killing each other over religious disagreements. Mm-hmm. In addition, I feel like it's important to also say that many of us have given up our right, our sacred ability to understand who we are, and really given up our rights, what I would call our grace, because we've sold out to the systems. We've lost control of ourselves because of addictions and issues that have come up with drugs and money and power and all of that stuff that we can get addicted to, and we've forgotten who we really are. And so our goal is to help us all remember that connection to the earth, remember that connection to all of the stars and our sun and all of the planets, that all of that's vibrating and keeping us alive here on planet Earth. And as we remember that connection to the ancient teachings and the beings that have been the guides and the masters who've come and shared all this enlightenment with us, is to keep reminding ourselves that we are human beings, and it's extremely important that we remember who we are and our power at this time in the crossroads that we're at right now. Mm-hmm. So your messages that you bring through, which I really appreciate how you do it, using Coyopa to get your energy moving, and then hearing the voices come through you and showing visions to you, and then you allowing those visions to be verbalized through allowing your body to talk and use your voice. It's the sound and it's the messages that resonate with me. And I would like to encourage you to put them out there where more and more people can resonate with them also. So that'll be another thing that we'll be talking about from time to time. I feel it's really important now. And I also want to just add that my teachers, Joselo and Carla, never really knew, I don't think, that I would continue to work in the Mayan teachings. I think they hoped. I do this with the great respect that I have for them, as also I do have for this information that we call the ancient information that's available to us all over the planet, from beings that were here, that left information that they may have come from the stars, and a lot of the indigenous teachings say that our star ancestors gave us all this information before they left. How we apply it and how we've applied it through this time in the past has really been up to us. However, now we're at this really important time where we have to make the right choice of love and the choice of being part of Mother Earth and healing Mother Earth and healing our children and healing our families and healing our relationships with all of us together as community, because we all are part of this oneness. There is no separation, and we must help each other remember who we are, and that's our goal in this programming that we're doing, is to help each other remember who we are. And your messages and the messages that are written into these ancient teachings do that over and over and over.
Yes, thank you. They've helped restore my consciousness, and then in sharing them with you, It's about the frequencies of the messages. It's about the energy that I unpack from. The words and language are just the smallest part of while the words can be inspiring. It's really the smallest part of what's being delivered through energy and through frequency. There's tons more data that cannot be condensed into words. This was just the point that I wanted to make there. And I also wanted to just bring it back to, why we named this The Return of Mother Jaguar. And today being Hun Ish, which is the oneness of Mother Earth and all. It's really about bringing back this divine mother consciousness that we have, as I was saying earlier, that we have set aside in order to participate in basically a patriarchal system. And it's the return of love. It's the return of Mother Jaguar. It's the return of love. It's the return of our souls. It's the return of our power that we have forgotten simply because we don't feel anymore. We're taught or programmed not to feel. In fact, we're laughed at, especially in the workplace. Throughout my life, I was, don't feel, or intuition, and all of these gifts that we have were discouraged or devalued. And in order to make money, right? We have to agree to set aside these very, very important and core aspects of our consciousness. So we can choose now. It's not too late. We can choose to restore the mother again within our consciousness. And there's a lot of help that we have with this, with people who are coming online now with their cosmic identity, with their universal consciousness, and are also receiving these messages. Every single day, I find something, it comes to me through the internet or through overhearing someone speak, that it is coming, it is returning into our consciousness. And that is where we cannot be touched by anything less than love and total restoration of love within our being and in our world. That kind of power cannot be touched by evil. And evil is going to continue to get louder now in order to distract, in order to poke at your trauma, your unconscious trauma, the fear that we carry. We will, again, in what you were saying earlier, we will begin to resonate with fear rather than resonating with the love that we are. So resonating in fear, it's just resonating with all that we are not being truthful about in our reality. And someone asked me once, well, what does that mean? I have to, just stand up in front of everybody and talk about a extramarital affair that I had in 1978? What is it? What do you mean telling the truth? Well, no, that's not what I'm talking about. I mean, if that has to come through in order to restore or heal a relationship, that will come out in its own timing. What I'm talking about is in present moment. Your body will tell you when you're lying. It will resonate when you're telling the truth. So when we speak the truth, which is part of the Koyopa meditation process that we guide people through here, and other tools too that we offer, when we speak the truth in any given moment, that is the point of power. And truth is what shows up on the cosmic radar. So people wonder why, well, how come prayers don't work, or how come the ETs don't just come and land on the White House lawn, all of that, because we are so unconscious and disconnected from the truth of who we are, that we think that the enemy is out there. And so we project fear and the darkness within us out onto other characters, and we say it's them. it's never them. It's always an inconsistency within us. It's always a discrepancy within us that we're not aligned with. Once we bridge that gap within us, then the reality that we see when we look out into the world is going to be a direct match or resonance with what we are carrying. So again, so much hope and so much inspiration now to guide people to the power of who they are. And I'm excited about this, and invite you to share anything more that you want to say before we wrap this up.
Well, we've said a lot, and it's some information that probably does need some time to be digested and become comfortable.
Yeah.
Because it's so uncomfortable to consider change, number one, and also to realize that the system that we have spent pretty much our whole lives supporting is disintegrating.
Mm-hmm.
And to watch it happening and see the lying and see the abuse that's been going on finally come to the top, and
Yes.
we're watching it all float up, and then talking amongst each other to share, well, did you know this, and did you hear about that, and all of these truths that are coming up have an importance that finally, as we start telling the truth, we have an opportunity to heal and help each other feel like we weren't the only ones that were being fooled by the media or fooled by the so-called images that have been put out as this is success and this is happiness and this is joy. In fact, that none of those things resonate with us, and it's in our connection to our hearts now and to the people who are waking up, and how we can help our children and our grandchildren in the future is the key to what we're wanting to work on ourselves as well as help others work on, because we are the ones that are creating the new heaven and the new earth. The new heaven is within, and our earth definitely needs help in regenerating all of the things that are necessary to clean up our water and clean up our air and remediate the soils that have been damaged by a lot of abuse.
Yes, and these technologies are here and they are arriving. These spiritual technologies that will assist not only ourselves but Mother Earth in healing. So we don't have to overthink, how can we possibly overcome all of this? Well, we don't have all of ourselves present, so how would we know? We're just kind of guessing, unless we are anchoring this love now and sharing it with our communities. And the word demonstration comes to mind. It's so important in truth-telling that we begin to demonstrate what this looks like and in our communities, and to support each other, to mirror, yes, I see you, I recognize the process that you're in, I encourage you, rather than having to hide these aspects of ourselves to go be in the system or in the world. This is how we're going to transform the world. And you don't need to worry so much. Take that worry, just, say, thank you, I understand, ego, why you're keeping me in anxiety and fear, because you don't understand. I get that you don't understand because you weren't designed to understand this and translate this. It's our hearts that were designed to translate this for us, but we're not utilizing this to its fullest capacity now. So that's what this work is about. And I'm excited that we're launching this today on Hun Ish. And, let us know what's important to you now. We'll do some probably live broadcasts in the future if there's an interest. If there's no interest in this, that's fine too. We'll just find other ways to share our work. But this isn't about competing in the spiritual marketplace. This is about being who we are and broadcasting who we are and helping others along the way who may have questions, may have stuck places, like how do I actually do this? there's a community that can grow here to share and to guide and to inspire and to love.
Yes. Well, I
Do
think
you feel
we-
complete?
I do. I feel very complete. I know that we've talked about a lot of things today, and much needs to be thought about and considered and digested. And I just want to acknowledge again, thank you for being here with me in this beautiful place, and wanting to collaborate together in broadcasting our messages out to the world, and hopefully a few, maybe
Maybe a couple.
million, who knows, will be resonating with what we're talking about and ready to hear what we have to say.
Yes, thank you. It's my honor, and I thank you, and I'm grateful for you being in my life and creating all of this with me over the years. This is a culmination of a good many years that we've been growing together and collaborating together.
Yeah.
So thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, and thank you all for those who have joined us for this episode. We'll see you again soon.